Tell me what you want, tell me what you need. 'Cause if your head is full of dreams, I got it right here waiting for you. I got it right here waiting for you. It doesn't matter what you dream, I got it right here waiting for you.
Hello, and thank you for tuning into this segment of We Are Living Healthy. Post-COVID, suicide rates are on the rise, which is why it is so important to be educated and informed about it. Today, we have Educator 2, Patricia Crumrine, and Prevention Supervisor Dennis Southers. Please welcome them to the show.
Good morning. Thank you.
Good morning. How are you? All right. I am really excited to chat with you because when most of us think about first aid, we're thinking about a first aid kit or CPR, but you guys have a fabulous program that involves mental health first aid. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. Yeah. So and that's exactly how we want to think about it too, is the fact that it is that first aid that you give just in a mental health setting. So it gives us the opportunity to really look at different crises in the mental health field or just challenges that we would see and give people the opportunity to be equipped with how to handle those situations. I always liken it to the medical field in the sense that what we do as first aiders and those who are just first responders in general is we're giving some type of help to someone who is in some type of crisis situation so that they can get some professional help a little bit later. Right. And I don't know about any of you all, but for me, if I'm ever in an emergency situation, it can be something that is very heightening as far as all of your senses. Right. You tend to get a little bit worried. You're like, what do I do? There could be a sense of panic. Right. But when you're equipped with what to do, then it gives you the opportunity to be calmer in those situations and offer some support. So that's exactly what mental health first aid does. It gives you that opportunity to have some tools in your arsenal, if you will, to help in those crisis situations with regards to mental health.
Yes, I think that is so important. Now, both of you have some wonderful roles with the city. Let's go ahead and talk about that. I know that you're an educator too, and you also have so tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So when we're looking at the education realm, a lot of times when you hear educator, you hear like teachers and they're in the school setting, and bless the teachers. But I am not a teacher, right? And what we do get to do is we are resources on wheels, I like to say. So in prevention, we're with the Department of Human Services. And in prevention, we are able to go out to the community and bring some education, bring some resources to folks instead of them having to kind of find where these resources are or wonder what these resources even are. So we are able to utilize different curricula, and it's not anything that's a Crumrine or a Southers original or anyone else who works here, right? But we have the opportunity to use those curricula to go out and talk to the folks that are looking at how they can increase their skill set in helping other people. So
yes,
I don't know if you had anything else to add there, Dennis.
I love what you said about kind of education on wheels, because that's really what we do. Many times we come to you to provide the trainings. If there's a group that wants to have a specific training and you're interested, then call us and we can do the training for your agency or your group.
Yes. And with all of the services that you offer, I read a little bit about something called QPR. What is that?
Yes, QPR, it's a suicide awareness program. The Q stands for question, the P is persuade, and the R is refer. The good thing about that particular class or training is that it is, of course, it's open to everyone, and it provides some information. Suicide is kind of a taboo subject. So if you can shed some light on that and get people talking about it, is very helpful. And one of the things that you do in QPR, the first thing is that the question part of it is really just finding out, okay, somebody may be thinking about suicide, or you think they might be thinking about suicide. And the persuade is just persuading them to try to get some help. And the R is to refer them to a person. But generally, you have to ask about suicide. You have to directly ask them, are you thinking about suicide? And then once the person says, yes, that's been a thought on their mind, then you can refer them to somebody else who can intervene for them.
And with the question persuade and refer, is there any other way to ask that question, or is it just straight to it? Hey, are you thinking about suicide? Do you have any more gentle approaches? So for somebody who may be apprehensive to ask that question when they genuinely care, or is there like a second option, third option?
I love the fact that when you're talking to someone, you find out some different things. Like maybe you have a friend, and the friend has been kind of withdrawn, or you've noticed some things about the particular person that they're struggling with. They've been feel a little bit depressed lately. They may start giving some things away that are. I'm a big Tanya Tucker fan, and if I start giving all my CDs away for Tanya Tucker, then something's wrong. Y'all need to check me. So the same thing is true with people. That it could be anyone who has a friend, and the friend may start having some signs that might be related to suicide, and you just have to ask the question. And a good way is to just say, I've noticed that you haven't been yourself lately. You started giving some things away, or whatever. You can fill in the blank. I noticed that you're just not, you've been kind of withdrawn lately. Sometimes when people are, and you fill in the blanks, when they're withdrawn and giving things away, they're thinking about suicide. Are you thinking about suicide? And that puts the question out there, gives them a chance to say, and usually it's relief. They're glad that somebody asked the question. And if you're wrong, that's okay. If you're wrong and they say, no, I'm not thinking about suicide, I'll be relieved. I'm like, oh, thank goodness. But if you are, that's the point where you need to make sure that they get some help. You want to keep them safe and take it from that particular perspective.
Yes, no, that's an awesome way to ask that question, especially if we didn't know how. When it comes down to suicide, when somebody is about to do it, have you noticed any commonly overlooked signs that people give that are the most overlooked? So that if you see these might be a red flag for you to reach out and say hello. I know you mentioned giving items away. I know you mentioned possible depression. Is there anything else that's like most people overlook this one?
And it could be anything, because we're all different and things affect us differently. So for me, it might be somebody broke, they're in a relationship and the relationship is over and they're very depressed about the relationship. Divorce is a big thing. Sometimes that can lead to suicide. Most of the time there are some signs, and almost always they tell someone that they're thinking about suicide. But again, you certainly have to ask the question. And sometimes we like to check the boxes. We say, well, the person is LGBT community, so they're higher at risk, or the person is, a senior citizen who has maybe a terminal illness. Right. But you can't ignore. The best thing to do is just assume that anyone can think of suicide or be thinking about suicide. And it doesn't matter if it's a family member or somebody else. You need to ask the question just for your own peace of mind. And the trainings, whether it's Safe Talk or Applied Suicide, the first thing you want to do is ask the question about suicide if you think there's a remote possibility that they're even thinking about it. And whoever's out there, you're the person they may say something to. They may not tell me, right, but they will tell their best friend, hey, I've been struggling with a lot of different things. And again, that's your opportunity to kind of ask that question. And the trainings, whether it's Safe Talk stands for, it's suicide for the entire community, suicide awareness for the entire community. And it talks more about, definitely following up on the invitations, asking the question, listening to them as they tell their story, and then making sure, most importantly, keeping the person safe.
Yes, no, thank you. That is great information. And I think it's so important that people have these resources because it is a taboo subject. With both of you, what is the best way that people can reach out to you? So Patricia, what's the best way for people to contact you, get your resources, get the information that we need?
Yeah, so we have our website, vbgov.com/prevention. There are also some phone numbers that we can get you connected to as far as getting an actual human. If we're talking about mental health, right? We're talking about being people and people like people, right? Even if you're an introvert, just throwing that out there too. So people like people. And so our number is 757-385-0803, and we'd be able to connect you with those the trainings that we have available to you. And just one more point to that, as far as asking the question and things like that, that's exactly what you're learning in those trainings because it is so broad. So when you have like that apprehension and things like that, it's natural, first of all. And secondly, that's one of the things that we're able to discuss at length in any of those trainings. So that's going to be super helpful for any of those who have similar thoughts to that.
Yes. Well, thank you so much, Patricia and Dennis. Thank you for the information. You're helping people save lives. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you very much.
Well, that's it for this segment of We Are Living Healthy. I really hope that you enjoyed the information. And if you know somebody who might be thinking about suicide, please take advantage of these services. Thanks for tuning in.